For me, growing up in Valley View, it wasn't anything like it is now.
I don't know, people thought I was crazy opening a business here, and I even have heard ghost town and things like that.
It was kind of a blank canvas. There wasn't really anything going on.
And it just made me sick coming through Valley View and seeing all these little businesses closed up and pretty well a ghost town.
It's interesting because we didn't come up to the square because there was nothing here.
Throughout the years, it seemed like just one business after another came through town, and nothing ever seemed to stick. There used to be so much here, and it's finally coming back.
I was approached by a friend and business colleague in another area of our precinct that wanted to get a petition started to legalize alcohol sales in this part of Cook County. From a business standpoint, I didn't see that any restaurant would ever come here or any grocery store would ever come here unless they had the opportunity to sell alcohol or that choice.
Now, looking back, I think that it was much more beneficial for the community to be wet, because now we have the ability of restaurants, surrounding restaurants, to have the BYOB option. We also have, Whiskey Hollow, which is another tourist attraction, and we both benefit from each other being here.
So I went down to the city hall, and Mary at the time was the city secretary, pretty well heading it up, nothing going on in town. And I said, Mary, what do you think about a distillery? And her first three words out of her mouth sort of rings true to me. She said, oh, hell yes. So here we go.
The other thing is you can bring wine over here, you can bring whiskey over here. We're BYOB. We don't charge a cork charge or a fee to bring anything over here. Also, you can take your drink from here and go anywhere on the square. So you can walk across the street, and I think that that's a great thing to have, and it's just normal.
Right now feels like a real exciting time to be in Valley View. It's the first time I can remember there being a life in town.
If you Google it, it says Tombstone. No, it came from Texas. This is how it works. Cowboy come in, pull a 44 or 45 out of his belt, put it on the bar, slide it across and say, barkeep, give me a shot's worth. You trade a bullet for a shot's worth of whiskey, i.e. shot glass. This is fun. Whiskey Hollow, the namesake of this place, came off of my grandpa's place back in the early 30s and 40s when they was making whiskey. Moonshining goes way back in our family history. I brought the namesake down to here in Valley View. I fell in love with the town when I moved here about 10 or 15 years ago. And it just made me sick coming through Valley View and seeing all these little businesses closed up and pretty well a ghost town. I didn't have any high expectations at all because of the nature of the business. I didn't know what the attitudes of the local folks would be or even if I could get it done. But I knew how to make whiskey. When I started building this, some excitement come up. Oh, Valley View's coming back to life and stuff. And I said, well, I hope so. I said, hopefully I can bring some traffic in and create sort of the Route 66 tourist stop. About 8 months into building this thing, a young lady come in on the square. I was watching her walking around with her folks down here, and she came in and she introduced herself as Meredith. And she said, well, what do you think about putting a winery in here? I said, Meredith, I said, we'll help one another and we'll help this town out. Brick Oven over there was doing little cookouts for her during the wineries, and they seen where they could make enough money by opening up a little business. So here we go, we got a little brick oven coming into town. And with me and her and Laura starting to bring in a little bit of life in here, she opened up before I did. I'm slow. So here's where Valley View is going to blossom.
This is my 16th year in business, but I've lived here for about 14 years, right outside of town, and kind of just fell in love with this square and these old buildings, even though there was only one other business here at the time, which was a car repair business. Really hated to see these old buildings falling apart and crumbling and nothing happening on this town, in this town and on the square especially. Basically, in the past 2 years, a tremendous amount of growth, kind of like a heartbeat coming back into a town that seemed to be, I don't know, people thought I was crazy opening a business here, and I even have heard ghost town and things like that. I did push the petition and let people know when they came in that it was here. I used social media as a means to get the word out that the petition was here and available to sign if people chose to sign it. It wasn't my goal to have a bar or a honky-tonk here. I did have hopes of having a winery and the vibe that that brings. Change is hard for people, whether you're the one that's for it or against it. It's still hard, but I think Valley View has become a destination and a cool little town, and it's starting to be known and kind of be put on the map, even though it was founded in the 1800s.
Hear me pray. I seen a witch's eye. I seen a witch's eye staring right back at me from the stormy sky.
So we are a winery and vineyard operation. We grow grapes and make our own wines here in Valley View, and we have the tasting room here on the square. We do live music. We also have local restaurants that deliver food here, so we've kind of become an entertainment venue. So we moved up here, discovered that the land was in a viticulture area. After looking at several cities for quite some time, we decided that Valley View was perfect because it was kind of a blank canvas. There wasn't really anything going on. Looking back, I think that it was much more beneficial for the community to be wet, because now we have the ability of restaurants, surrounding restaurants, to have the BYOB option. We also have, Whiskey Hollow, and then we both benefit from each other being here. Initially, I was a little nervous. People talk, well, there may be opposition. So I was a little nervous that we might upset the local community, but we've been welcomed and supported. I haven't had a single instance. Because we're a winery and we're a family operation, our children are really involved in everything that we do as far as grape growing and even the winemaking, and our children are also part of this community. It's been really incredible. It's actually been much larger than we ever anticipated, and people bring their kids, and it's always seemed to be a good environment. It has been really beneficial for us to all be together on the square. The more businesses that open, the more successful we all become, and it's been really incredible. I love being a part of this community, and all the feedback we get from the schools, from the surrounding churches, has been just incredible. Laura has been just an incredible driving force of the growth in this community. She was the first business that opened on the square. I knocked on her door a few times before we decided on Valley View, just to kind of meet everybody and see what's going on here. We weren't sure how we were going to open the business or what building, and this is actually her building. So she was very instrumental in helping us get started. Really, I don't think I'd be in business if it wasn't for her.
It really didn't start out as a dream. It was kind of a spur-of-the-moment accident. Our friend Georgia Meredith from Firelight Vineyard, they came down one night for dinner. We had pizza and they brought wine, and they loved the pizza. We didn't think anything of it. Well, they lost their food truck guy and called us in a pinch and said, "Hey, could you really help us out? We need, dinner for Saturday night." So we brought our ovens up and cooked for people, and that's how it began. We needed a larger food truck, and we had asked Meredith to look around, let us know if there's anybody that has a larger one. And she suggested that we contact Laura because she had a space. We met one Sunday afternoon over wine, and I don't know if that had any contributing factor or not. We must have been crazy or a little bit of inebriated, but we signed on the dotted line, and that's how we started in this space. Once our oldest graduated in high school, we said, nope, let's go find some land. So we found Valley View and immediately fell in love with it. It really is interesting because we didn't come up to the square because there was nothing here. Because we knew George and Meredith Eaton with Firelight Vineyards, we were over at their house a lot, they were at our house a lot. They started, planning out how they were going to build their winery. It kind of inspired us once we started in on the business, working with them, to set our sights on bigger things. Valley View is a unique community, and I don't think that's by accident. We are a community, and I think that's what that actually means. If I can cross-market with someone else and help their business, that's great.
I definitely think it's going to grow. It's growing very quickly, and it's going to grow a lot more.
Valley View is growing. It's a really good community.
Some nice residential areas, which I'll look forward to that type of growth, and grocery store, and hopefully more restaurant and retail. But I think Valley View will continue to grow.
Truly, one of the things I truly wanted to hope for is to bring this town back to life and let it start growing. I'm seeing that, and with the blessings and the hard work of everybody around here, it's working.
I'm not sure the future of Valley View. I don't know how long I'll stay there. I don't know what will stay, what won't. But I think they have a good system. This is the first time that everyone seems to have traction and seems to be working together toward a common goal.